Welcome back to Texas. The Issue Is. We're joined by Rice political analyst and pollster Mark Jones. Mark, it seems like all of the polls have been consistent when it asks potential voters what is their number one priority. It has been the border. Why do you think in Texas, I know we're along the border, but why do you think in Texas the border has been the number one priority, and outside of Texas it seems like abortion has been one of the number one priorities?
Well, Texas is a border state, and immigration is a very important issue here for two principal reasons. First, there's no other issue, perhaps other than crime and public safety, that mobilizes Republicans more to turn out to vote. But it's also one of those rare issues that mobilizes the Republican base, but also is popular with middle-of-the-road voters. And we see that Governor Abbott's policies are popular with more Texans than are President Biden's policies. And so, as a result, Republicans are hitting immigration almost as much as they can. Abortion, while an important issue for a segment of the population, particularly younger Democrats and some Democratic women, has not become the sort of large-scale type of issue that mobilizes large numbers of people. So it's being used more by Democrats to mobilize specific segments of their electorate.
Yeah, really hitting with the base there, Mark. Now, there are signs another big migrant caravan may, and I say may, approach the Texas border during early voting. Do you think that could skew recent polls, and if so, by how much?
I don't know if it'll skew things too much, but certainly the more that immigration and border security and the Biden administration's problems with border security are in the news, the better it is for Texas Republicans and the worse it is for Democrats, in large part because that takes up all of the oxygen in the room, and instead of talking about issues that are less popular or less prominent or good for Republicans, such as gun control, we're focused on immigration, which is a winning issue for Republicans and a losing issue for Democrats.
Mark, polling indicates Democrat for Attorney General Rochelle Garza as the best shot of a breakthrough for the blue team. Is that just a measure of Ken Paxton's weakness, or does she have a legitimate long shot of prevailing?
Well, that's based almost exclusively on Ken Paxton's weakness as a candidate. There was a reason why Republican elites went after him in the Republican primary, due to his legal troubles, marital troubles, ethical troubles, etc. The difficulty for Garza, though, is that she's raised virtually no money. She's only a little over $2 million. And to have a chance at victory, she really needed to be up in the 10 to 12 range. So she had enough money to introduce herself to Texas voters, about half of whom don't know much about her, and to educate them on all of Ken Paxton's problems. The less people know about Ken Paxton as a person, the more likely they are simply to vote the party ticket when they go and vote this fall. And in a state like Texas, where Republicans enjoy a natural advantage, that means a victory by Attorney General Paxton, albeit I would expect him to win by the smallest margin of any other Republican, with the exception perhaps of Ag Commissioner Sid Miller.
Specifically, the Texas Lieutenant Governor's race, does it really matter that we're seeing these cross-party endorsements? You have Democrats endorsing Dan Patrick for re-election. You have Republicans or former Republicans endorsing Collier. Does that really stick with voters? Does that make a difference?
Not much, really. We're seeing some relatively fringe Republicans, people who are on the outs, much more moderate than where the average Republican elected office holder is today, like Glenn Whitley up in Tarrant County, Kel Seliger out in Amarillo, supporting Mike Collier. But when we look at the polls, only about 3 or 4% of Texas Republicans say they're going to vote for Mike Collier, and a similar proportion of Democrats say they're going to vote for Dan Patrick. So I don't think these endorsements are having much of an effect outside of the elite ecosystem.
Mark, a recent poll of Texas Hispanics, 59% of those who responding saying that they are Catholic favor modifying abortion restrictions to allow more exceptions to the ban. Is that surprising? It's a little surprising to me, but I started peeling this onion here, and a Catholic told me, look, there are different levels of people in that Catholic faith. So should we put a lot of stock in that 59% number?
Well, I mean, what that number says is that, and that's really where a majority of the state is, that they believe that a ban on abortion, except if the mother's life is at risk, is too extreme. If you start giving them the option of having a ban on abortion except for incest or rape, you get more support. But when we look at the Latino community, the group that is really pro-life are actually the 1/4 to 1/5 who are evangelical Protestants. Those are the groups among Hispanics who are guaranteed almost to be in favor of the Texas abortion legislation. When you get to Catholics, it's a much more diverse group. Some are in favor, some are against.
All right, to see this interview and others, go to our Fox Station's YouTube page.
And to continue the conversation with us, you can take a look at our Twitter account handles right there. Keep the conversation going with us on Twitter and other social media sites.
Next Sunday on Texas The Issue Is, we sit down with Public Utility Chairman Peter Lake to talk about the future of the troubled Texas grid. In the meantime, be sure to tell us what you think the issue is.